Everybody, say hello to Juno, the latest member in the ever-increasing Drive Home Review family. I actually won 2 of these tonight, believe it or not, but I gave the other one away to a kid who was watching me do it because I am the claw machine master. So the question you're probably asking is, why did I go see this movie? There are some other films out, bigger names. So why did I go see a week-old kids film? Well, putting it simply, I have very little, if any, interest in seeing Joker. I'll probably end up seeing it, but I really, quite frankly, I'm bored with Batman. I'm bored with the Joker. I'm bored with the endless pretension of the DC films, and they were so dark and meaningful. So I really didn't want to go see that. And I also had no interest in watching a C-level actor beg for an Oscar by starring in another biopic of a dead celebrity, because we all know nothing gets the Academy harder than an actor putting on a bad accent and doing a bad impersonation for 2 hours. They love that shit. I just didn't care about any of it. And honestly, I wanted to see something beautiful. I wanted to see something a little life-affirming, you know, and I took a chance on something, and I can say now, after having seen it, that I got what I wanted. To my surprise, much to my surprise, Abominable is a lovely little picture. Perfect? By no means. But deceptively lovely and touching. And a film that takes full advantage of its medium, being a CGI movie, and, you know, takes full advantage of that with some truly, truly spectacular visuals. So, let's break this down. So, in case you haven't heard of it, the film is about a Yeti that is captured by some corporation. They never really explain what the corporation's name is, or it's written on a bunch of stuff, but they never really explain what it is. But he breaks out of the containment field. It's in China, and he hides on the rooftop of a young girl who finds him, befriends him, and decides to try to take him back to Mount Everest, where they deduce that he is from. So it's a child's adventure film. Joining our young rebel hero is, you know, her friends, who, you know, one of whom is a shallow, selfie-obsessed kid, and his cousin, the little fat nerd kid. I gotta say, so I guess one of the things I can say about this film that it's not so much that it's not very good, it's that it's just very pat, is, boy howdy do I wish these children's films would come up with some new archetypes for their films. I really do, because boy do I get tired of the same stock characters. I mean, there's got to be some other combination of kids other than the rebel, the preppy, and the fat nerd. There's gotta, not so much nerd, but the fat dweeb. There's gotta be some other combination, right? I mean, seriously? We can't come up with anything? So, the characters are a bit pat in their stock types. It's, you know, if you've seen one of these, or you've seen any kids movie in the past, I don't know, ever, you know these stock types. But I've got to say, the the characters are still rather engaging. Our main character, I think the character's name is Yin, voiced by Chloe Bennett of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who plays Daisy on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is a fun character. It's her movie, really. It's her hero's journey. But again, the only thing I can really criticize about it is that her hero's journey is exactly the same hero's journey as Charlie's in Bumblebee. Like, almost exactly. You know, she's a young girl getting over the recent loss of her father. She befriends a creature that can't talk, and yet they form a bond, and through helping the creature go through its journey, it helps her recover and come out the other end. Only difference here is that instead of being a mechanic, she's a violinist. So I know that sounds like I'm really dumping on the film. But stock character aside, or you could even call them cliche characters if you really want to. Cliche characteristics aside, at least the character is enjoyable and likable. And she is. The only downside is sometimes Chloe Bennett's voice is a little too old to be coming out of, I assume, a 13... I don't think the character can be any older than maybe 15 years old. And she sounds... There are certain scenes where she sounds like an adult, you know? But that's always an issue with something like this. But, again, I'm listing all these negatives, and I really don't mean to give you that impression that it's a negative film, because it's not. The character is a wonderful character. I kind of wish Lindley could see it with me, because I think this character would rate very high on the feminist rage-o-meter. High in that she, you know, is a good character, I think a good role model. She's someone whose journey and whose healing you want to see and you want to share. And when she comes out the other side, you really do feel like it's a natural progression and an earned victory, much like he did with Charlie and Bumblebee. Her preppy friend is okay. Again, just kind of that same archetype that you see in a lot of these films. The snotty, superficial kid who learns that superficiality is not the way to go, and he should be nicer and all that. He's the butt of a lot of the jokes. And he's fine. Like, again, I'm not saying that in a bad way. He doesn't really stick out too much. What I like about this, so those characters and some of the characters are stock. But what I liked is that there's something very different in the relationship between Preppy Boy and Yen. And that being that they are not, as far as I can tell, unless I'm not seeing something, they're not intended to be romantically linked. They make the comment that they were friends when they were little and then kind of drifted apart, and the movie is more about them coming back into each other's lives, and rediscovering friends and rediscovering family, reuniting, that kind of thing. It's never, at least as far as I can tell, because again, these movies are not subtle about really anything. The characters are not supposed to, it's never supposed to be insinuated that these two are going to be in a romantic relationship, that this is them falling in love. And that's something you don't see in movies a lot. You don't see a guy and a girl on a journey like this, and they don't become romantically involved. And again, that's not what the film is aiming for. It's not telling that story. And I give the movie a lot of credit for that. And I'm like, wow, that was actually kind of surprising. Also surprising, and I gotta say, something that I can criticize a lot of movies for. This one kept its humor and its jokes fairly clean and fairly there was one implied poop joke. And other than that, they didn't go toilet. There's not a fart joke to be seen. And just so we're clear here, I don't like to think of myself as a prude about these things. I guess the reasons I have problems with those, especially in kids' movies, is I know that comedy is not growing up. You can go and see the same fart jokes in little kids' movies and in movies aimed at adults, and it's like, it's not to say I've never laughed at a fart joke, it's just to say I'm tired of them. But this one does not go there. In fact, this one is really not much of a comedy. There are comedic beats. But this movie, I wouldn't call it a comedy. This movie is a youth adventure. This movie really reminded me of a lot of the films I loved as a kid, and those things about kids going on a journey, on an adventure, running, jumping, climbing trees, being self-sufficient, learning things. It reminded me almost of like an old Disney film, like In Search of the Castaways, a bit, because the story is the journey. And boy, they do some amazing things visually here. So one of the gimmicks is that the Yeti, who they name Everest, is magic of some kind. When he sings, almost like a Mogwai, his fur glows and he can control nature, basically. And through circumstance, Yen's violin gets busted, and Everest fixes it with his own hair, so now when she plays the violin, she can do it. So there are some amazing visuals that go on here with her playing the violin and it affecting nature and the things that she can do with it and the things that Everest can do when he hums. There's an amazing chase scene where they're in a boat, but they hit land and they're going through these fields, and Everest is singing, and the field turns into like a giant wave. It begins, the grass and everything starts to move like water, and it's just visually gorgeous. One of those scenes that you're just like, wow, that, again, taking full advantage of the benefits of the medium. Like I said, if I'd seen this movie when I was a kid, it'd probably be one of those ones I watched over and over and over and over and over again. On that, the character of Everest, the Yeti himself, is just adorable. Look at him. Look at that face. Look at the face. Look at the face. But I always like it when you have those animated characters that are mute and they're kind of animalistic, but they also have kind of a little bit more in terms of human personality and just the fun kind of miming you can do with them. And Everest is just another one of those really adorable characters. The thing I gotta say, the one thing I will say that I think is a negative for this film is it has villains. It has a villain or a guy you think is the villain, played by Eddie Izzard, and the people who captured Everest and are chasing after him. And I'm gonna be honest, it's not that the villains are bad or that Eddie Izzard is bad, because Eddie Izzard is never bad. It's that I don't think the movie needed them. I don't think it needed the antagonist. I think you could have just had the initial inciting incident of Everest being captured and escaping, and the adventure could have been just trying to get him back. Now, obviously, they needed the antagonist, the villain, to move the plot forward and move from one chase scene to the next. But as I'm watching it, and I just think that every time the villains showed up, it felt like it broke the flow of the movie and the actual point, which is the journey. And I really think it would not have been hard to rework a lot of this. You could keep a lot of the beats, keep a lot of the chase scenes, keep a lot of the beautiful visuals, and not have there be an actual antagonist. You know? So that's my opinion. I will say this though. So I'm seeing this movie obviously with a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids in the theater, and when you do that, you accept the fact that there's going to be talking. The kids are talking, they're making noise, and everything like that. And you just accept that, except from the two fucking teenagers that were sitting over to my left. I don't understand the teenage mentality of you pay $12 a person to go sit in the movie theater and talk. You could talk outside the movie theater for free. Sorry, tangent. But anyway, so the kids are talking. When it gets to the requisite all is lost moment, I'm doing this a lot tonight. When it gets to that, man, that theater was dead silent. The kids were at attention. So I think that was pretty cool. So clearly they were reading it on a level I wasn't. But, sometimes you just need a movie like this. Small, but deceptively beautiful. And again, life-affirming. A movie that you felt good coming out of and going, wow, you know what? That was pretty fun. Also, I just got to say this. Boy, I love the violin music. I love violin music. I think violin music is the most beautiful music ever invented. And I love violin players. I'll tell you, if Tara McNeil and Lindsay Sterling ever had a violin battle, it would probably kill me. But the music in this is gorgeous. I love the music that she plays. So whoever wrote and performed that, wow, just stunning. And man, again, such great visuals that go along with it. So, sometimes, again, you just need this kind of movie. If you just feel like the world is just ugly, and you look at some of these other movies that are out there, and they're all so negative and and again so very ugly and depressing, sometimes you just need something that says, hey, sometimes life is beautiful. And on that, so with that in mind, let's talk final grade. And I think I'm going a B+ for this one. B for beautiful, because that's what it is. It's not perfect. It's nothing real. And again, it's not perfect. The characters are stock. The situation is, predictable. But it does some different things. And like I said, I came out of this just going, wow, I made the right choice. I saw, because I was planning to see this picture, and I got up to the kiosk, and I just thought, Joker's right there. That's probably the more adult film. I can do it. It's right there. And I said no, and I'm glad I did. I made the right choice. This is the movie I needed after the last 2 weeks. I needed this film, and I'm glad I saw it. And if you got little ones, if you have little ones, this is a perfect movie. Obviously, it's a kids movie, but this is a perfect movie for families, because again, it's an adventure film. It's a little intense, but I don't think anything like some of these other movies are. Like the all is lost moment and all that are not that scary. So if you've got sensitive kids, I don't believe this is going to give them nightmares at all. And if you don't have kids, sometimes if you just feel like the world is an abominable place, no pun intended, actually, yes, pun very much intended, maybe go slip in, see this one, treat yourself to a snack at the candy counter, and just enjoy the really, really pretty flickering images. Yeah, I think you'll be glad you did. So, that's it for this one. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time, and as always, drive safe. And I'll see you at the movies.